Zenyatta is a glass cannon support capable of insane amounts of damage to subdue enemy threats. There have been some slight changes to his kit as well that give him a little bit more options compared to that of what he had in Overwatch 1. With different characters to changes like Brigitte and the loss of 2 tanks, he is now played in unique environments, warranting a second guide for this character. Keep in mind that today's guide is strictly discussing the major things that have changed with Zenyatta in Overwatch 2. I suggest watching the first Zenyatta guide on my channel before referencing this one. Let's get right into the new stuff. Zenyatta has a new passive ability called the Snap Kick that adds knockback to his melee. This might seem like a really dumb ability, but it is actually quite useful. This primarily allows him to create distance between himself and flankers to line up shots more easily, especially against characters like Genji and even Winston and Wrecking Ball. For example, the kick goes through Genji's deflect and even Zarya's bubbles, allowing you to create distance and line up easy headshots. This can be a little bit difficult to get down at first, but with ample practice, you can take out flankers with these if they get too close. While you can boot people off the map, it should not be what you look for with this ability. Zenyatta does not have damage fall off on his primary, and getting up close to look for boops is the last thing you want to do, especially with how vulnerable you are. It may not be a new ability, but I do want to point out how nice it is to have the new UI at the bottom of your screen that shows who holds both of your orbs. Specifically, it is very helpful to know who has Discord and how low they are. This is critical information that you should relay to your team consistently, as Discord is the main reason why you pick up Zenyatta compared to other supports. Zenyatta is not safe as he once was in Overwatch 1, but that does not mean he will never be good again. Right now, he is pretty weak in the Season 1 meta, but he has his maps and will definitely be viable in different compositions in the future. First off, Zenyatta is still a solid pick alongside Baptiste, especially on Circuit Royale. In this composition, he is typically played alongside and against a Sigma. In this composition, you will play to break the enemy's shield as fast as possible to pressure them sooner with Discord defined picks. The more in-depth composition Zenyatta is played in, however, is with dive variants alongside an Ana. In this composition, the team plays to surround the enemy and kill them quickly. The most important takeaway from this section is that in this composition especially, you want to make sure that you are playing to rotate and position yourself as effectively as possible, and this is relative to the motive of the enemy team. For example, if the enemy has a Winston as their main tank, understand that for him to kill you, he has to jump on you. If he does not manage to kill you within his first engagement, there is no way for him to get out, since he has used his jump to get onto you. This is different if he doesn't have to use jump to engage due to poor positioning. In this situation, there are a few options you have. You could either play with your team, which is more optimal if you were playing alongside the Baptiste and Sigma composition we were discussing earlier, or you could play really far away with your Ana, so much so that the Winston won't even be able to get to you in a single jump, which allows you to burst him down before he engages. The idea of ping-ponging back and forth with your positioning in these matchups is incredibly prominent even in Overwatch 2, without a Brigitte to make you immortal. When the threat is aggressing onto you, back off, but once they invest cooldowns and fail to get close, it is your turn to aggress and take them down. Just keep in mind, however, that until this meta shifts in the current state of the game, it will be difficult to find these moments. I know this guide has been relatively short so far, so let's bring together the top 3 things you have to be focusing on if you want to do well as Zenyatta in Overwatch 2. First off, I cannot highlight this enough, but you have to make sure you are positioning yourself safely and rotating effectively in this game. The moment you leave yourself out in the open, enemy tracers will take advantage of the side lane and pummel you down. If you don't have a tracer of your own that you can keep Harmony Orb on to match that threat, this will become even more transparent. This positioning also applies alongside your friendly support, especially Ana. Ana can heal you through a lot of danger if you are in the right spots, so make sure that you are in a position within her line of sight to maximize your uptime. Practice your aim from far away to make sure you can stay consistent as well. Using code VAXTA is still a great way to do this. Number 2, make sure you don't get too selfish with your Discord orb too often and try your best to set up flankers even more so in Overwatch 2. Sure, you can absolutely destroy tanks in this game, but if the enemy Zarya still has 2 bubbles but your Genji found an opening to the backline, you should support him with the best way you can, which is often with damage alongside him. Lastly, for the sake of the third takeaway, make sure you're practicing your aim again with Zenyatta if you intend on locking him in your games currently. He can be very difficult to make work in high ranks, but if you can subdue flanking threats consistently, you are going to carry games no question. As mentioned previously, Code VAXTA set to the hardest difficulty is the best way to train your aim on this character, usually for 15 to 30 minutes a day. Not much has realistically changed for the status quo playstyle that Zenyatta had in Overwatch 1. Arguably, the biggest change is that he doesn't have Brigitte carting him around anymore. He is a vulnerable glass cannon support that deals crazy amounts of damage to make up for the lack of healing he provides. Because of this, seriously, if you have not yet watched the first guide to Zenyatta found on my channel, I highly recommend you do so, as it will help you out tremendously in the new game, barred by a few concepts we talked about today. If these 2 videos did help you out, however, let me know in the comments down below which characters you want next, and consider leaving a like or even subscribing. Thank you so much for your incredible support on my recent videos, but until next time, I've got to peace out and Paz out. I'll see you in the next one.